Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Dr. BB in the Middle. Today, Dr. BB is going to be in the middle of a briar patch with you. And as thorny and as uncomfortable as it will be, I hope that you come in and join me and that you can come out on the other side feeling like you are a little bit more enlightened, maybe a little bit stronger, and maybe a little bit more in touch with, your ability to get out of your own briar patch. One of the things that I say is that we all have our briar patches, and in my inaugural podcast, I do talk about my LLC, Briar Patch Solutions, and I talk about why I chose that name for my parent company to all of the other work that I do. And it is because we all need to find within ourselves the strength to go back to the origins of what holds us down in life. And so that's where we're going to be focusing today. And so what I want to do to introduce this topic is kind of go back to my American Lit days when I was teaching in the classroom in high school. So, hello there, former students. Dr. BB still loves you. And talk about, I'm going to read a story to you. I'm going to read a story to you from the Uncle Remus's Song of the South. Sometimes the only experience that I would find that my students in the classroom had ever had with any of the classics, was through the bastardized version of Disney. And Disney did the same injustice to Uncle Remus's stories of Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, and Brer Bear. And Brer Fox, you will see, is on one side, Brer Bear's on the other, and that Brer Rabbit is right there in the middle, just like Dr. BB. So that is not by accident, my friends. Uncle Remus knew exactly what he was doing. And so, in this particular story, which is my favorite, it's the story of Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby. And any of you who have been paying attention and over the years, and you know the history, you know that Tar Babies is kind of like a racial dog whistle. You know what that stands for. And if you don't, go ahead and look it up. Anyone who knows who Toni Morrison was should know about Tar Babies. So basically, the way the story starts out is that Brer Fox and Brer Bear are always on the same stretch of road. They are going, who knows? Uncle Remus never tells us, but they always end up at an obstacle in the road at the same point. And that obstacle is generally presented to them by Brer Rabbit. So on this particular day, they decided that they were going to make a tar baby. They were going to put that tar baby in the middle of the road to present an obstacle to Brer Rabbit. And so, as they had predicted, Brer Rabbit became entangled with that tar baby, got into a scrap with him, and you know what happens, okay? So they come upon him, and they decide that since they've got him trapped, they're just going to set him on fire. So they start making a heap of brushwood, and they tell him that they're going to barbecue him today. So then Brer Rabbit, a master negotiator, I might add, decides that he's going to begin trying to talk them out of their plan. So in a most humble way, he says, "I don't care what you do to me, Brer Fox. Just don't fling me in that there briar patch over there. Roast me, Brer Fox, but don't fling me in that there briar patch." So Brer Fox looked at him and he said, "Well, it is a lot of trouble to start up a fire. I think I'd rather hang you." "Oh, hang me just as high as you please, Brer Fox. But for Lord's sake, don't you fling me in that briar patch." "I don't have any string to string you up with," said Brer Fox. "Ha! I think I'd rather drown you." "Drown me just as deep as you please, Brer Fox," said Brer Rabbit. But for the Lord's sake, don't fling me in that briar patch. There ain't no water nearby, said Briar Fox. So I think I'd just rather skin ye. Oh, skin me, Briar Fox. Skin me. Snatch out my eyeballs, tear out my ears from the roots, and cut off my legs, said Briar Rabbit. Only please, please, Briar Fox, don't you throw me. Don't you throw me in that there briar patch. Said Briar Fox. Ain't gonna be much fun skinning you. You ain't scared of that. But you sure enough scared of that briar patch. And with that, Briar Fox yanked Briar Rabbit off the tar baby, and he flung him kerplunk right into that briar patch. Well, there was a flutter where Briar Rabbit landed, and then, ooh, ow, ouch! He screeched and he squalled. Then after a while, there was only a weak whisper from Briar Rabbit. Briar Fox listened. I got it. Briar Rabbit, he dead, said Briar Fox. But then he heard a scuffling away at the other end of that there briar patch, and lo and behold, who does Briar Fox see scrambling out but Briar Rabbit himself, playing a briar bush whistle. Born and bred in the briar patch, that's me, laughed Briar Rabbit. And I told you not to throw me in there. In all the world, that's the place I love the best. And then he just skipped away, just as happy as could be. Now, in Uncle Remus's story about Briar Rabbit, Briar Bear, and Briar Fox, the briar patch is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the fixes by which people become ensnared. Briar Rabbit knew his way around the briar patch, but he also knew his way out. So going back to the briar patch was painful, but he knew he could leave when he wanted. Sometimes people have never left the briar patch. They never leave because they don't try. You see, trying is work. Briar Fox thought all the options Briar Rabbit offered were too much work. And by the way, go back and look at those, because you see all those options that Briar Rabbit brought up were all the things that have literally been done to Black people throughout history and are continuing to happen. You see, Uncle Remus's works have been banned many times, considered a racist work of literature. Well, anything that the Board of Education feels is a work of racist literature is usually teaching our children about racism. So it's important to take note of that. Very relevant to our topic today. But Briar Fox decided they were too much work. And so the easiest thing to do was to throw Briar Rabbit back into the briar patch. But then you see that didn't solve his problems. Briar Rabbit, his nemesis, his Achilles heel, if you will, the thing he saw as an obstacle in the road of life, just reared his head again and again. So if you notice, Briar Fox and Briar Bear, they always run into Briar Rabbit, like I said, in that same spot. And this is considered their tight spot. And each time, they take the easy way out. You see, Briar Rabbit is a trickster in this story, and this is a metaphor for the ways in which we allow obstacles in life to hold us down and back. And they, Briar Bear and Briar Fox, they never make it past this little stretch of road. Uncle Remus never tells us where they are going. The story is an allegory of slavery and how even though the physical shackles of slavery have been long removed from those who were enslaved, some are still on that stretch of road. And that stretch of road does not ever go beyond the briar patch. So as I always say, we all have our briar patches. What's yours? For the freed slaves, while they were enslaved, they took on white man's religion. It was first done as a way of appeasement. You see, they didn't really believe in Jesus or the white man's God. So are you still there? All right. Just checking, because, this tends to lose people. They took meaning from the stories of the Hebrew slaves and from the wit, the sheer intelligence, the enslaved Africans. They wrote, not in letters of the alphabet, because that was against the law, what we know today as Negro spirituals. You see, the River Jordan, that's code for the Ohio River. The Ohio River led them to Ohio, the promised land. Ohio was a free state. Wading in the water, wading in the Ohio River, is not about baptism. It was about losing the scent of the tracking dogs. So when they talk about God gonna trouble the waters, they're talking about the waters moving. It's gonna carry your scent on down, away from those trackers. Moses was the beautiful, crafty, most wanted list gangsta of all time, Harriet Tubman. And that sweet chariot that they wanted to swing low wasn't to pick them up and to carry them off to heaven. That was code for the Underground Railroad, which, as you know, if you know your history, wasn't really a railroad at all. But it was the way out, led by Harriet Tubman, charted by Harriet Tubman, with all kinds of code language, like the drinking gourd, talking about drinking from that gourd. There's nothing spiritual in that. This was the Milky Way, constellations that pointed toward the north. You see, white man's religion has become a briar patch for many people of color in the U.S., and it keeps them bound to the laws that say they are less than. Now, hold on. You see, in the Bible, it says that God made man, human, in his image. To white man, Anglos, God is white. And if God made man in his white image, then what does that say about people who are not white? Now, number one, we know that God would not have had a human presence. And besides that, Jesus was not white either, but he also wasn't African. He was Hebrew. He was brown. And so that is exclusionary in and of itself. So get off that stretch of road, all right? Just get off of it. Shake off the imaginary shackles and find your strength within yourself. You see, Even Jesus in the scriptures, he looked out at the apostles and he said, why are you looking to the sky, the heavens? The kingdom of God is within you. It's a metaphor, people. Everything that you want, everything that you need is within you. Before white man showed up on the shores of Africa, on the shores of what is now known as North America, the people living there had never seen a white person. And these people showed up with their shiny armor, their yellow hair, many of them looking back at the Vikings. For the Spaniards that came here, they had on their shiny helmets. They had firearms. It was easy to convince these natural people that they were gods. It was easy to impose their religion on them as a way of bargaining for their lives and their peaceful existence. So don't take my word for any of this, In fact, you can just stop taking the word of anyone and research and educate yourselves. Find your strength within yourselves, and that's in knowledge. Knowledge is power. And do not allow the trickster in your mind to halt you in your progress. Over the past few years, there have been numerous television series and movies produced that shed light on the very topic I'm talking about with you today. John Legend's television series, Underground, for one. It got limited airplay and then it was canceled. This is the equivalent of the slave caught reading, having his eyes burned out. Educate yourselves, and this will set you free. Back during the slave days, the enslaved would spend long hours on Sunday in church, and they did stay there singing and talking and planning. That was their safe time. To this day, it's tradition that if you belong to a black church in the South, you do not see on the marquee board that church starts at 10 and ends at noon. You don't know when you're going to leave because it's just so much a part of the culture. That's where dinner on the grounds and all the wonderful traditions come from. It's a briar patch, though, you see, because you're still believing in promises that weren't meant for you. And it's not because you're black. It's because they're really not meant for anybody. That's out on a limb there. All right. Somebody go ahead and shake it. Hope that I fall to the ground. No, I'm not going to do it. So it's important for us to recognize the truth within all of these things, because you see, before those people came to the shores, the Africans, as well as the indigenous peoples of this continent, North America, they believed that nature united all of humanity, and that no man was any greater or lesser than any other one. Religion is the one thing that divides us all. Tough topic, weighty topic. I had my job threatened in public schools many times for speaking these truths. They can't fire me now. Dr. Beebe's got her own podcast. So, with that stated, do your research, learn for yourselves. It's important. And so, as I sign out today, I want to leave you with this. And I want you to carry it with you. And I want you to dig up some of these Negro spirituals. And I want you to read them with fresh eyes. Just like the greats of the Harlem Renaissance did. You see, because when they first found these old spirituals, they were embarrassed. They would say, man, how could people be so stupid as to believe this stuff? You see, they were trying to get beyond and break those shackles of slavery and Jim Crow. Then they really started reading these things, and that's when they recognized the code. They recognized the genius of these spirituals. I love these spirituals, but I love them all the more because I know the truth behind their words. So today, I leave you with the beautiful Ella Jenkins. And so this is Dr. BB signing out.
In the water, children, wade in the water. God's a-gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in white. God's a-gonna trouble the water. The leader looks like the Israelite. God's a-gonna trouble the water. Ooh, wade in the water. Oh, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God is gonna trouble. God's a-gonna trouble the water. Oh, see that band all dressed in red. God's a-gonna trouble the water. Ooh, it looks like the band that Moses led. God's a-gonna trouble the water. Oh, whoa, 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 wade in the water. Oh, wade in the water, children. Trouble, yes, he will. The water. Oh, 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 ooh, oh, oh. God is gonna trouble. God's gonna trouble the water. There's healing in the water, yeah. The water. Deliverance in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. My God is gonna trouble the water.